He's coming at you from the top. Oh no, no, he won't stop. Thalmor Radio. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Thalmor Radio.
Thalmor Radio.
So, like, what the fuck is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm hanging out, I'm having a good time, and I get a message from Kills, and he's like, we should do a bonus show about this. And he posts a link to a thread, and it's like, okay, well, what's this? And I see the Hollywood flag, and I see the Celestial flag, and I see tree terms. It's like, what? What's going on with this? Huh? And I go to Article 3, and it's like, we will come to each other's help. And it's like, what? Wait a minute. No, this isn't like just 6 months ago we had this with Mystery Oasis. And now it's happening again. Except instead of it being 2 small fries, it's the 2 big fries. And so I received classified, like, high-level video footage of what happened. And this is what happened. Morph, he is sweating. His face is red. He is heaving. He is just not having a good time. And he is running. He is running into the garden where the Rosians tread, where they grow. And he runs to Vex. And he gets on his hands and knees. He just falls, ladies and gentlemen. He falls on his hands and knees, panting. Mommy Vex, please. Please protect us from the Time People. The Time People are coming. They went into the back rooms where no one returns. But it is the Time People. The Time People will return. And they will come after us. They will come after us next. Mommy Vex, please. Please protect us. And Vex stands up. And she stands tall. And she pats little Morph on the head. And says, yes, little Morph, I will protect you. I will protect you. And I will keep you safe. I will put you under my bosom. And you will be safe. And Morph looks up. Thank you, Mommy Vex, thank you. Tears falls from his eyes. All is safe once again. But Vex says, wait a minute, little Morph. I require your soul. And Morph, he blinks and says, my soul. And Vex nods her head. And Morph says, pah, what soul? What good has it done me? And just like Isu in the Old Testament, who exchanged his birthright for a bowl of porridge, Morph hands his essence over to Vex, and Vex claims him as her own. And I don't know where the Syndicate comes in at, but I think the Syndicate probably just does whatever Rose wants anyways. But there you go. So that is the Holly Rose Treaty as it stands right now. So the treaty is a few different things. Primarily, it's an MVP. I think that's a significant thing. But it's also, like, it's a couple things. Some of it, it's actually unique. Number one, it's demilitarization. Actually, no. It opens up with it. I don't think I've ever seen this before, but it's two blocks saying there's no CB between us. We're cool. And then the second term, which bounces off of the first, is we will agree to demilitarize, like, to this level. And I don't ever recall a treaty like that happening in the game, so that's a bit unique. But then term 3 swoops in, which is if either party's attacked, the other will come to their aid. So that's what's going on with that. My initial thoughts is that it kind of makes sense because Clock does have a habit of beating someone up and then attacking someone else. So if you're like a decision maker in TKR or decision maker in Rose or Celestial, I should say, then you're probably thinking, well, Backrooms is small. Backrooms are already fighting. Haunted Mansion is small. Johnson is small. Clock, they actually have balls, unlike us, so they would probably swing at one of us. And we have no reason to swing at our closest rival being, whoever. Hollywood if you're Celestial, Celestial if you're Hollywood. And so they team up to disincentivize Clock from hitting them. That is what seems like it's happening. I guess it makes sense, but it's still like I spoke about this, I think, last Friday or the Friday before. The cool thing would have been for them to hit each other anyways, just because it's fun. It's fun to fight wars. Like, they're both so rich anyways. Any damage they take, they can recoup very quickly. Like, but they choose not to do that. Instead, they choose to just kind of be gay, really, and take the bitch made easy way out of actually we're going to defensively posture and just see what happens. And so Mystery Oasis got hit for it, right? Mystery Oasis got hit. The Syndicate didn't like Mystery Oasis doing it, but now that Mommy Vex is in charge, they're okay with it now, I guess. But I guess a semi-obvious response to this is, well, now the whole game just needs to come together to hit Holly Rose. So let's look at the numbers. So here's some numbers, and there is a very, very strong hold within Holy Rose from 31 cities up. Like, even if you coordinated everyone, Clock, Backrooms, Johnson, Haunted Mansion, and even got the third parties or the neutrals, I guess, the NAs. It's not really competitive at 31 or above. Now, it is competitive in the other tiers. It seems like to me that if you got in some tiers, it's competitive if you got two different blocks together, but in a bunch of them, you would need probably three or all of them to do so. And so we'll see what happens. Clock room. Oh, that really is the whole game. Yeah. So 31. To be competitive against Holly Rose, I don't think you need the whole rest of the game, but you do need like Clock and like two others to really start to do something. And so, like, I don't know. So that's where that is. There's a when a move like this happens, it is a porthole into like the psychology and philosophy of an alliance, right? So where TKR is and where the Syndicate is and where Rose is, like they have their like first principles, and I think where they're, and I could be wrong, but I think where there are is different from where a lot of other people are. And there is, in my view, and maybe I'm wrong, more and more people are wanting to see a meta that's more flexible and fun. And I think that is happening slowly, but happening. I think the spirit that got us to multi-spears is still alive and still progressing. But it seems like TKR, the Syndicate, and Rose are like these old dinosaurs that are against that. So maybe that's going to be the new confrontation for years to come, is like the dinosaurs against the new guys. The dinosaurs just want to grow cities and squabble among themselves. The new guys just want to have fun. we'll see what happens. Um, if the dinosaurs want to keep growing cities so they can sign treaties with each other, I guess that's fine. I'm probably just going to say it's City 35 then, and fight with other people because that's kind of ridiculous. But we'll see. Oh, and just in case, just so that nobody gets the wrong idea, this is a temporary treaty, and I think they're being honest. Um, I think term 4 or 5 says that like the treaty ends when all current spheres are at peace. So this is a temporary treaty. It's not permanent. Just so no one listening gets the wrong idea. But it's still like ridiculous. Um, I think that's it. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say. 10 minutes. It is now time. That's my thoughts. I'm going to give the floor over to other people now so we can aggregate opinions from all over. So I know Kev, he asked me as soon as I announced it to come on. So Kev is first. And if anyone else wants to come on, just raise your hand or say you want on. Let's go. Kev, what are you thinking, boy?
Oh man, personally, I am giddy. I think it's great, and by great, I mean look at the forum activity. This is swell. There wasn't this much forum activity on the DOW on Back Room, So I for one would like to thank Morph and Wana and Vex and all of the alliance leaders for this delicious treat. I think it's great. And this is here's my theory. A lot of people have been whining about and complaining, rightfully so, about the lack of activity on the forums, the lack of activity, period, not much going on, no one doing anything, and here they are, they're doing something. So they're addressing a community need, right? So they're not only that, but they're bringing other spheres together, right? So people are uniting in their view on this move. It's fantastic. Just wow. What a move. What a move. Um yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Thalmor.
Nah, my what I was gonna say was a bit unrelated. Yeah. And I don't know, like celestial forming was one of those things where it's like this is kind of yikes, but I guess it's okay. And now we're seeing another move like that where like this mega block is kind of yikes. I guess it's okay because it's temporary, but like I don't like what I'm seeing from certain parties right now.
So here to put my serious hat on, semi-serious hat on right now. Bloop. All right, so it's on. So I know Zig, you're gonna have a conniption when I'm talking about this, but in DMs and stuff between alliance leaders, etc., you get a feel for what other people are feeling about other alliances, and I believe we should make this more public, like what Zig would say, right? Public FA for the win. However, this was a feeling. Like this was the feeling with mostly Rose and TS doing this. The thought is they would not do the first move because they just wanted to sit back and try to grow. They're kind of they're scared, and they're also scared of what's their war performance going to look like. Because take a look at their past war performances, it hasn't been so good. So by them making this treaty to try to counter the Grumpy Guardian growth, I mean it's kind of like an all or nothing thing. Because if they lost a one war with another block, especially a smaller block like Clock, that would look really bad. That would look really bad for them going forward. And what kind of an alliance are they at that point? They're more second-rate alliance. What could be a thought. That's a theory that's been out there. Not saying that's mine. That's just something that I heard that was interesting. So meanwhile, TKR, they after Nightfall, I feel like they got a lot of PTSD, so to speak. Everyone's out to get them, and I think that kind of embedded deep within TKR's gov. With certain parties, and don't get me wrong, I love myself some TKR. I've been a TKR fanboy for a long time, right? However, I think there's certain philosophies and beliefs in this everyone's out to get us kind of thing, which rightfully so. I will say rightfully so. They keep getting screwed over. TKR has in the past got screwed over a lot of times. However, I believe it's gone too far with this move, and they're just trying to prevent getting hit. the worst part about this is that Morph was out there in public saying, "Why are you so scared, Clock? Come on, big beautiful Clock, come on."
Yes.
That was the
Yes.
worst take on this. It's because he was saying, "Come on, oh wait, you're not that bad. You're not that small. You're trying to push this narrative that you're so small." Meanwhile, it was hilarious how blatantly obvious what this was, right? And we called it, Thalmor, I know you're on this too. Like, it was called out. There's a few of us that called out that narrative being pushed. And it's funny how much it was doubled down. And then to have this move happen makes it just that cherry on top. It's just, I mean, to me, it's delicious. Like, it's awesome, but it's also a pretty poor FA move. I think they could have handled their situation in a different way. I mean, like, even if they were going to do this, I don't know. Then don't tell anyone and then just hope nothing happens before you poop your pants and show everyone. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, this was a poor move all in all. Even doing it's a bad move, but then I don't know. To me, it was not a very good FA move. That's just my take on it. And especially since Mystery Inc. and Oasis got dumped on for literally the same thing. Because if you look at their treaty, and some people are going to say it's different, but not really, because they just said it was a temporary block-to-block MVP agreement because they were scared of Clock hitting them, right? They're absolutely scared of it. And even though only 2 alliances were hitting them. So it was a terrible move by them at that point. However, the only difference between this and with the TKR Hollywood and Celestial thing is that they were a little bit better spoken in their post and but literally like the same thing, so my thoughts on it are it's a yikes move. I think both blocks lost a lot of points, PR points, I guess you could say. I'm curious how the allies, if there's any allies in Celestial that didn't know about it or weren't as big of fans, and same with Hollywood, if that's going to impact how those spheres are going to look. So maybe it's going to be a blessing. Maybe there's going to be more microspheres out of this or more mini spheres out of this. I don't know. So that's my thought on it. I think I fully fleshed it out. Feel free to either ask a question or if something didn't make sense, I'll try to clarify it more.
I am reminded of something, and that was this post from Roberts a week ago. I forgot why I did a show on the 17th, but he said this, and it's pinned in the Thalmor radio chat, but I'll post it again. And I think Robert was shitposting, but it makes me go, because Robert was claiming to leak this, and he says that the TSD Rose rivalries are boring as fuck. It's not getting into the game, and so they're agreeing not to fight each other anymore. And it's making me like, well, wait a minute, hold on. Maybe there's something to this with this move. Maybe they were already talking some about, like, maybe we should put our guns down when we're aiming at each other.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it could have been. I don't know, but to me, it did sink to a level further down than I thought we were at with that. But I think there was a little bit of this in both camps, and this is kind of honestly so far. Clock has been the most correct if on the meta scale and the observations of the different blocks, because they've had their own self-criticisms too. Like, I feel like if you look at the different blocks and the assessment of what's happening from what I've seen and the public quote unquote narratives that have been put out there, this has been Clock's narrative as something like this would happen too. And lo and behold, you know what I mean? That neither one want to, like, they're both scared of Clock. Meanwhile, Clock's like, we're the smallest ones. We're not going to do anything. And then the counter narrative is like, hey, you guys are big and strong. You can do something. I don't know. It's just pretty rough. And then Dr. James Wilson loses PR points with who? What do you mean? Like who did Hollywood and Celestial lose PR points with? Everyone. And I'm guessing potential alliances within the two blocks also lost respect for him. But I would say any former alliance of Mystery Inc. and Oasis especially are going to have a chip on their shoulder on this for sure, which is good for politics and the game health if you think about it. But you have to have PR points to lose them. True. I would say there's some historic alliances like that. They carry weight. I mean, like, you can't deny that they have points to lose. They have weight, they have significance. And so these are still big blunders. I mean, if something like this happened from Mystery, like something like this did happen for Mystery Inc. and Oasis, and this is a different kind of reaction, I feel like. It's like, with that, it was like, yeah, all right, like, come on, man. Where this is like, really, really, because on this they have the complete upper tier dominance, and like if they ever did decide to do something together, they're damn near unstoppable. I don't know how they could be beaten. Whereas with Mystery Inc. and Oasis coming together, I mean, obviously there's still stuff that can happen to fight them, but still, uh, any move like this is going to have some kind of shockwave.
So I'm glad you mentioned the upper tier dominance. That's a whole other angle to it, which is that Mystery and Oasis was bad, but a big difference between that and Holly Rose is that Holly Rose, as I said earlier, does have this dominance in the City 31 and Plus. That just, like, it's just, numbers matters a lot, but skill and coordination is also very important. But they have such a dominance in numbers that it's completely not competitive. Like, nothing anyone can do in that tier.
So, you guys laughed at me last week when I tried to tell the truth. I laid out the plan, and you called it conspiracy. Well, joke's on all of you because I'm tired of being laughed at. Instead of opposing the new hegemony, I will now loyally serve the new hegemony. Everyone who responded with an LOL or LMAO, you're first on the list, BBs. Count the days that you have infra, because we're coming. JK. That was obviously a shitpost.
I can't believe you betrayed. You were the one that came on here and you were like, we need to get rid of naps. We need to make sure that they don't happen again. I'm going to get people to sign the no nap. And then what did you just do? You got half the game to sign a nap. How dare you?
I am low gov and can only do so much. But the real issue here is that Kev had a good idea. Like, on the rare occasion Kev had a good idea. You know, he hit Haunted Mansion and basically was trying to make the argument of, okay, let's pivot and start another war. So obviously, we were trying to get Clock and Backroom to come to peace terms under the same kind of idea. You know what I mean? We're really in it for world peace. Also, I'm high and just kind of shitposting. I'm just joking. It probably, admittedly, wasn't our best, wasn't the best idea ever, honestly, but it's okay. It's a temporary treaty. It's not a new sphere. We're not forming a mega block or a hegemony, which I'm pretty sure is pronounced hegemony or some shit like that, but whatever.
Hedge money,
yeah. I mean, it's a temporary thing. It was a weird way to do it, but it's temporary. It's going away. And then everybody can probably roll TKR because they'll get mana for it, I guess. I don't know.
So is there just no confidence in Hollywood's ability, even at full military, to repel Clock?
No, I mean, it's just under the very reasonable assumption, given Clock's past maneuvers, they've pivoted out of like 2 or 3 different wars, I think, onto different targets. So it was just kind of a logical conclusion, I feel like. Maybe overkill. I mean, I'm not going to tell you it's my favorite thing we've ever done, but I can at least see the logic in it, and I'm at least not panicking about the new hegemony. That's definitely not a thing. We're just chilling, trying to demill, living life. We will return to competitiveness very quickly.
So, like, whenever you guys are scared, you're just going to form the ultra block and just put yourself in a position where no one will want to fight you. I mean, what stops this card being played again, 6 months from now or earlier?
Probably the reception.
I mean, the thing that were they? So is that what they were scared of? Is Clock and Backroom teaming together and then flipping it on one of the blocks? Is that what you were saying, Roberts?
Wait, how do you spell Baghdad? Oh, never mind. I found it.
E-A. Dad.
What was the
Right.
what was the question?
So that was the issue, right? Was that they were worried about Backroom and Clock teaming together to hit one of them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, if that was the case,
like Backroom has been exceedingly publicly vocal that they feel like Hollywood has kind of stabbed them in the back somehow. And
Sure.
Clock is literally, I mean, like, I'll give points to Clock. They're extremely like I can't think of the word. Ingenuitive, I guess, would be one word, but not what I'm looking for. I mean, like, they come up with creative. Like, they come up with new ways to play the game, and they do stuff for fun rather than for pixels. I appreciate that. So, like, I feel like it's not that much of a stretch for them to have teamed up, especially when you have X Clock like yourself or Lefty or whoever, talking about, oh, well, we wanted to hit them, burn infra turn, and hit somebody else. It's not that either one of us thought we were going to get hit by one of them. It was a 2-sphere thing.
I call BS on that, and the reason why is because if that was the case, why not do a gentleman's agreement in the background, and then if 2 spheres did attack one, then they could get away with them defending one another from that. Almost. However, what this effectively does is being scared of a single block, i.e. Clock, attacking one of them right after this is what this does. It prevents that. And so they're trying to kill two birds with one stone with this announcement going out there. But if they're really scared of being double teamed, giggity, then they would have just had a backroom gentleman's agreement or whatever. And then if that would have happened, then they could have came in and tried to spin the narrative a certain way.
So this is about to really piss off Hannah. And I know it's going to piss off Hannah and Kilo and probably Tyrion. But the logic was, we wanted to announce the deal so it wouldn't be a secret treaty.
Holy smokes!
So we wanted to be open with.
My side. Yeah. Wow.
But I'm laughing because it's funny, but like, seriously, I do understand the idea of wanting to be open and not feel like, oh, there's a secret treaty between Hollywood and Celestial. I didn't want anybody running in being like, oh, the new super block under the table. That's not the case.
You just immortalized Tyrion into the Hall of Fame, I feel like.
Tyrion has very many quotable moments. Nukes being a loser's weapon is my favorite, personally. And we should remove them from the game. But,
dude, I
love Tyrion.
Okay. Well, anyway, with the openness of the whatever, blah, 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 it's still bullcrap. Like, it's, if the 2 hit the 1, then you guys can jump in later, too. You guys would be able to wipe away Backroom and Clock easily.
Again,
with the 2, even after the case, it's
not my favorite moment. I'm not going to say it's the best move. I'm not going to say it's a great genius move. It's what we went with. It was probably a mistake.
Grave,
but there was sound logic behind it, is what I'm trying to say.
Grave, you're saying S tier sarcasm. He's not being sarcastic there. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. He's not being sarcastic.
What's not being sarcastic?
He's trying to say that you were being sarcastic when you said open. You guys were not having a secret treaty, but that's you're being serious, right, on that?
Me laughing for like 20 minutes about it didn't plug that in there.
Yeah, 100%.
I thought that was extremely funny, but maybe that's a bad joke.
Dude, I don't know, man. Like, what other reason would they have for posting it on the forums?
I
You know
mean,
what
I like to post new and different things. It was just like,
It
you
wasn't
sign it.
different.
You don't have to sign a
Mr.
treaty.
Aiken
Every
always
treaty doesn't have to
supported
be the same, and sometimes you want to put out something new. It
it.
didn't go over the best, but that's okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to grill you anymore because I know you're not a fan, so I'll just leave it be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to say like, oh, I wrote this and this is my favorite thing. 100% of the blame goes on Wana, obviously, but I mean, the logic is sound. I feel like it's temporary at the worst. So I know on the surface it definitely seems hypocritical with the Mink Oasis, but it is slightly different, I think. And we're also worried about getting double teamed, not just scared of one person coming for us. So I feel like that contributes to. Scared
Who?
probably isn't the right word, but worried about it.
Who are you scared of?
You,
Say
Zig.
it. Right. Meanwhile,
You're right in my tier, homie. And
you can-
Davith too.
Go ahead and ghost just like Haidu did. Once my slots are open, you can come and join.
So when the game unites against us, is Haidu going to be on our side, or is he just going to stay with whoever?
Whoever wins.
That's fair. But yeah, Thalmor, thoughts, feelings, emotions, snide remarks?
No, just thank you for coming on and explaining it some. Having the inside perspective. Yeah, I go pretty hard on the show, but I do want to hear from like the people that I swipe after because I don't want a boring echo chamber where I just go off all the time. Getting the other side's perspective, I think that means something. I want that. So thank you, Roberts. Did my internet crash? I don't think it did.
You're good.
Okay. Who else wants to come on? So that was Roberts. Roberts is logo of TKR. Someone raised their hand. Spanky did. We have Augustus Caesar here. He's TKR, I think, or he was. I feel like Gnome's also TKR. I like to get some other people. Like if TKR people are here, I'm open to having them on. That's fine.
Augustus Caesar's the best brick maker in town. This is a plug for Robert's Eco server. There you go, Roberts.
Yes, Thalmor, do you enjoy Minecraft?
I haven't played in a long time.
Because there's like an adult version of Minecraft called Eco Global Survival for $30 on Steam. We literally have like 30 people playing it where you form a society and a government to stop a giant meteor from hitting the Earth, but it's like a Minecraft type game. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's like politics.
That sounds interesting. Actually.
Yeah, the idea was to get
That does
everybody
sound
from
interesting.
PNW playing it and forming alliances in the world, and then we fight it out.
That actually does sound fun. Is it on Steam or what kind? Like, how do you play it?
Yeah,
It's an early access game on Steam, which I know early access is trash, but at least like I've genuinely played this 4 or 5 days and probably gotten like 40 hours out of it already. Like
not a joke.
like me, Kev, some people from TKR, Weisel's been playing, Augustus Caesar,
Pika.
Pika's been playing, yeah, like a bunch of different people have been playing and just no lifing the shit out of it. It's been great. Like I played 10 hours the first day. It's a good time.
It does look pretty good.
And they're like adding features as they go
Decom.
too, so it's pretty neat. We just signed our first constitution yesterday.
NB4 TKR and Syndicate sign an actual treaty because security reasons and because now everyone wants to, they're all upset with them, so now they have to protect themselves. So
I can promise you that's 100% never happening.
Okay.
Like an actual permanent treaty is not like between blocks would never happen for us.
Please.
I mean, just being real, I understand the hype tonight, but let's be realistic. This was just a miscalculation. This definitely was not a segue. Oh. This was the test run I tried to tell you guys. Morph has me in his basement, please.
Welcome, Decker. Yeah. I'm doing quite well. How about yourself?
Pretty good. This is pretty exciting. It's probably not as bad as it is made out to look initially. I do assume that it's probably a lot of emotions in comparison to Mystery and Oasis. I do still think it's pretty funny and very ironic.
So, like, what was your initial reaction to it?
I laughed for the last probably hour. Like, it's my reaction. I mean, I was surprised, to be honest. More than anything, I would say it was surprising. I don't think anyone could confidently say that this was like an expected thing. I did hear grumblings about demilling, which is understandable. I didn't think it would lead to demilling in an official sense via like a treaty. I didn't even read the forum post, to be honest, but when I did and I saw the Article 3, it is what it is, but I didn't expect this. Did anyone?
I sure as shit didn't. It very much came out of the field.
It's on. I know it's perspective based, and I know that on the other side it probably makes sense. And I'm trolling a lot. Like I'm memeing pretty hardcore, and I realize that. I'm sure on the other side, it probably makes sense given that clock has changed one time because we had one war that we changed. And I'm sure that I guess based on our record of having 3 wars and 2 of them actually completed, chaining one of those gives us like 100% rate of chaining wars, I guess. So I could maybe see that logic. I get it, I guess. I think it's excessive, especially given the public like atmosphere that's been being pushed onto everyone. It's a safety net, and I don't understand the necessity of it. I understand why, but I don't understand the need.
Because why fight the pointless war?
I did think Article 2 is sort of odd. Well, not odd, but noteworthy about having because it calls out like actual MMRs for 2 entire spheres to have. Or that's Article 1 and 2 mention MMRs. That you'll have Rose and Hollywood going to 1350. With a voluntary with 1351 being voluntary. I don't know if that someone else will have to clarify. I don't know if that's like the rest of C10. Yeah, I'd have to read this whole thing again. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't read it all.
All right.
We're
Who
not
wants
crying.
who wants
It's
20
more or less,
mil?
it's more or less like being called out to hit someone and then signing a treaty so they can't hit you. Like I don't know if we're crying or coping. Yeah,
I
I
have a
don't
question.
think that's how it goes, to be honest.
Hey, I have a question. I think someone pointing this out, and I thought it was a really good point. Why create a block if you don't think that your block can defend you? Like to do an MDP with another block. Like that's a question I've got, I guess.
We skipped our chance. Okay.
I was really
So,
going to come hard for the Johnsons there.
Like-
Bro, the whole time out. So, Morph, you said you skipped their chance they could have hit Hollywood before hitting Backroom. So what? Okay, but what if they hit you after hitting Backroom? What's the difference there? That doesn't make any sense. Like what? Oh well. Okay. It's Morph, buddy. I love you, but that's oof.
And more, if you're allowed, you can raise your hand and come onto the stage. That's fine as well. It'll be easy to communicate that way, anyways.
I don't think he's even in the
Mm-mm.
thing.
he has to be.
It's kind of. I mean, to be fair, this is kind of tough to defend. So.
Okay, I gotta stop this for a sec. Everyone keeps saying chain. What is this about chain?
Back-to-back wars.
Like when you finish a war, like you remember when Clock finished hitting Oasis and then they immediately declared on Rose?
We're calling those chains now.
I think that's just a colloquialism. I don't think that's
Feigning
the official
wars, yeah.
term.
It means it's off the chain.
Yeah.
I get confused because, my mind, chaining means treaty activates treaty.
That's
I will
typically
be
what
okay.
I read it as, but I think it's just a colloquialism.
Yeah, in this case, like it was Mr. and Oasis being hit by Clock, and then when we white pieced out, instead of going back to peacetime, we just drove into Rose. So we like chained it one after another, sort of like the treaties, I guess. Like one after another after another.
Hey, I enjoyed for a bit.
That was Grave that was talking. Grave, your audio is a bit hard to understand. Try saying something else.
Kev,
Now
I have a
he's silent.
question
Well,
for
James
you.
also joined. Hello, James.
Go ahead, Mr. James Wilson.
Okay, so you just mentioned that what's the big deal if Clock were to chain into somebody else after their war? Why is it okay that they get to shave off some of their infra by picking on the small block and then turn around and hit the bigger block and claim the stats victory and yada yada yada? Is that okay?
Time out. So, oh man, this is where we're at with politics more, huh? All right, so you're
Yeah, I don't know why we
Just
have
to
to
get
fight
this
a
right.
war on
Just to
like,
make,
No.
sure
Whatever
I'm
it says, you can't still do that. No.
just to make sure I'm understanding this right. Oh, okay. So, Clock catches a break. I mean, objectively, let's just view this how it is. So they have beef with Backroom through like Bourbon Street and some other people, and they catch a break because they get an actual legitimate CB where they get out of the 3-person standstill because they're hoping that Celestial and Hollywood hit each other. Right? That's what they're hoping for. And they catch a break because they get a legitimate CB, and then now they get to go through and hit Backroom, right? So that's kind of the situation at hand. Potentially, is one way you can view it. That might be how they're viewing it. And then now they get out of fighting and they're good to go. Then after that war, they're good to go. Alternatively, let's just say they wanted to get revenge or settle a score with Backroom or whatever the case may be. Let's just say that is the case. They went and wiped that, and then now let's say now that they're fully milled and their infra is shaved, if they do want to take a crack at either Hollywood or Celestial, because they're already down their infra. Might as well, the money wise, it's gonna not be as damaging for them. So for them to do that, at least they're doing something. They're not just holding back. They're not just like, they're the ones that are actually going out and doing something. So you said, what gives them a right? Everyone has the right. It's someone else do it. Like, go do something. That's the problem with the game.
Right.
Is everyone's playing Farmville here and all like scared people or whatever, and like they're trying to team up, and that's the whole fear, right? Is that people, these larger alliances, are going to team up in order to try to avoid being hit, so that way they can continue rising with their upper tier and be at peace for another 6 months. And then people are going to complain about the game being boring, and the same people that are complaining about the game being boring are in these different spheres that are trying anything they can to get out of a war. And like, I don't know, man. Like, to me, that's a pretty weak statement by you. What gives them the right to do that? I don't know. They did it. I mean, and they're every right in the world. At least they're doing something. It just seems pretty silly.
I mean, hey, if they still want to do it, they are more than happy to go ahead. They're just gonna get their shit kicked in. I don't know.
Yeah, by half the game.
I don't know what to tell you. Don't fucking chain right into. Don't fucking go from one war right into the next, and because you don't have any fucking infra, so you have nothing to lose.
Obviously, we're not going to chain into Hollywood.
You can still lose a war. It doesn't matter. Like, they can still lose.
Cringe.
Dude, let's sign up again and wonder why no one hits us. Like, really? Okay.
Yeah, dude. Like, that's pretty rough. That's a rough take, James Wilson. Like, that's a really, really, really rough take. I mean, let's just say Johnson's loses all of our infra. I'm just gonna use us because Johnson's, and then we suicide into Hollywood. That's unfair, because now stats wise it's gonna be harder to beat you guys. That's unfair, blah blah blah. Like, come on, man, that's such a weak argument. So you're saying that if
what are you talking about? All anybody cares in this game is stats. That's all anybody gives a crap about.
That's
all everybody cares about. Okay, so you tell me what exactly is the benefit of rolling from one war right into the next, when you into somebody who hasn't been at war and has all their infrastructure, all their military, everything is there for the taking to
This isn't the argument. The argument isn't the stats thing. I'm not even talking about that. So in order to have an argument about that, we'd have to be on the same page on what you're saying. As far as you're saying the only thing that matters is stats, I don't agree with that premise, so we can't really have that argument, because to me that's a dumb argument. No offense to you.
Don't you agree with that premise? Are stats not important?
Stats are not the most important thing, like what you claimed. I think that is completely wrong. And it's funny because Clock is one of the blocks that's most vocal saying that stats do not matter and that they can be skewed. And if you look at, like, you have to look at specifics.
Stats don't matter because. Okay, all right, well, continue.
Stats don't matter. So, time out. So if you're saying stats are the only thing that matters, and then the winning, according to you, Clock would win the stats war, but they're the ones that saying that it doesn't matter. Wouldn't they be the one that are like, yeah, stats matter? So your argument just collapses on itself, and you twist yourself into a present.
No, because nothing of what Clock says matters, because Clock has no morals.
Now they have no morals. Now you're shifting your argument over.
I'm literally just adding on. I'm just continuing on.
This is super good, but like
their war reason. I liked how they included us in their declaration of war for some reason specifically. That was very interesting.
Because there's confirmed that you guys told them that, dude. Okay, did you not read the thread where TCW confirmed that they talked to Hollywood about it? Like, that actually happened. I don't know if you caught that or not. You posted on the thread, so I'm assuming that.
No, I did catch that. I also saw. I mean, I'm not digging myself a deeper hole because I've seen.
To be entirely fair as well,
that he stretched the truth with his declaration of war claim. Okay, so don't even start. Okay, because Keyguys admitted to us that he was being very liberal with basing us. With us confirming the declaration, anything of any sort.
Time out. So it'd be like let's just say one country is next to another country, and there's a single soldier that ran across the border, and then that other country decides to declare war on that other country by saying that other country B was going to declare war and invade, And then Country A is like, hey, I don't know if they're actually going to invade. And then Country B said, yeah, we were about to invade. So you're saying that I'm super terrible at metaphors, but like what you're saying is so bad. Like they were proven that they were correct in that. In the leak that they were told that Backroom was telling Hollywood to hit clock, they admitted to it in the thread, and they gave even more details to it than what Kigaz knew, is what he was saying with his post, but it still had merit to it, and it was proven, and you're trying to argue against that, and you're going to have a hard time arguing against it.
I'm literally just saying that when the declaration of war came out, we went to them and asked them where exactly was it that we confirmed we said that we told them anything. That's what happened. We had to go ask, where did we confirm anything? I understand that TCW and whatever, they decided to stick their foot in their mouth, but we literally, when the declaration of war happened, we're all very confused.
You might want to get this dude off the stage for Hollywood's sake there, Roberts. I don't know, man. Like,
Kev, I don't know what your problem is. Are you aware of something I'm not? I mean, I'm literally telling you what the situation was. Yeah, they I guess they went and talked to other people, but when the declaration of war happened, we went to Clock and said, what is this confirmation that we gave you about this, that you mentioned us?
James is actually not wrong here. Kigo has admitted,
and literally
Kigo
said, yeah, well, we stretched some shit, so.
It's
Kigo's
like saying
admitted that he took a joke we made at an
like,
embassy and literally ran.
No, I know that's
miles.
Not true,
he
no.
ran
you know
miles
that's not
with
true.
it.
You know that's not true.
I can find you the log if you want. Like it's not even like it's so benign that it's not even OPSEC. You know
I am well aware. Oh, Deca, you're the one in Cataclysm, so you should be the one talking.
Like, I don't understand what the relevance is. That like, how does this justify anything? Because there's a speculation and it turned out to be true. Like, I don't understand what is the relevance.
Can I add in? I don't actually understand why we're even bringing this up at all. How is this supposed to work with us chaining you guys after this war? We just brought you up there. Is that now a problem?
Oh, I honestly wasn't listening. I just was adding that one piece of the conversation was not false.
Okay, well, we somehow jumped from talking about us chaining to then talking about our CB.
So how we speculated and it turned out to be true.
So you didn't want the spotlight on Clock on this one, is what you're saying?
Pardon?
What?
But you didn't want to talk about the CB at all?
I think everyone's confused as to why the CB came up.
You guys were talking about it. I was just coming in to say he wasn't wrong. I don't know what you guys were on about.
I don't believe Clock had talked about the CB at all to start off with.
Listen, Kevin, James were having their own talk. I was kind of zoning out. All I heard was that Kigo stretched the truth with the CB. He did. I mean, it's just fact. But that's fine. We all stretch a CB now and then. You know, I'm not hating on him for it.
Yeah, but what his suspicion was true. You said he stretched. He actually didn't. He I guess he stretched correctly. Like he perceived the threat correctly.
There's only 4 blocks. It's probably not that hard to stretch correctly. But I mean, like we literally asked him because I was curious. You know, I was like, what in the world? Where did we say we're plotting on who? Blah blah blah. Only 4 relevant blocks, I guess I should say.
What? So
Haunted Mansion and Johnson's exist.
No, well, I thought relevant blocks would be Johnson's. I'm guessing you need Johnson's Clock.
I mean, you're irrelevant because you're the leaders of the free world, obviously.
Right.
I mean, like, what would that have to do with the rest of us peasants in the muck? I don't know.
That's a good point. But anyway, getting back to it though, dude. Like, I guess I don't understand why you don't think it's okay for Clock to hit another block, like if they have a legitimate grievance. I think
so. I'm not saying it's not.
No, not you. I'm talking to James. You're fine, right? So, James, I guess I'm just confused by the idea of them then hitting either a Celestial or a Hollywood if there's a legitimate CB, and you're trying to defend this MDP between the 2 largest spheres in the game. and with kind of broken logic.
I mean, it's only an MDP if somebody decides to hit us right after they finish their war.
An MDP is always only an MDP unless someone decides to hit someone else.
Well, actually, it stops to exist once everybody rebuilds.
Why?
Clock wants to
Why
rebuild
bother?
and come at us. Hey, feel free.
You realize this doesn't look good to everyone in the game, right?
Who's everyone in the game? The people that.
But
I mean,
Okay, let's be honest. He does have everyone in the game because currently 60% of all the upper tiers are on their side, so they do have everyone in the game.
Mystery and Oasis were hit for the same thing, and you're gonna spout the same lines like it's only MDP, it's only to protect. We've heard it. You do realize that, right? The irony.
There was no war going on when that happened. That was to prevent a war from happening. This is happening in the middle of the war. I think that's slightly different. Maybe not huge, but slightly.
So calling out another block to hit Hollywood and then signing an MDP with Rose, you don't see the irony in that?
Actually, I'm pretty sure I said in Balkans, the irony is not lost on me, considering I was one of the people that got the shit kicked out of them.
Come fight me one-on-one, and then you get closer, and then you see, all these UFC
come fight us when you're built back up, man. Come fight us when you're built back up, not right after you've had your little war.
The little war doesn't matter. You guys, what's the big deal if we have a war now or if it's later?
You know what's funny is this rhetoric was used. I remember on Surf's Up, right after Surf's Up, people were saying, "Oh, it was a fake war. That way they could hit IQ or BK and stuff." And I don't know, man. It was a weak CB then. It was a weak rhetoric that your side also said was weak. TKR, Syndicate at the time didn't say it was weak because they were on NPO side for a little while, but over time they said that was a weak rhetoric, saying that Surf's Up was a fake war to shave off blah, and it was unjust. That's what IQ and those guys were saying, and that side of the war was saying that it was just BS. However, they were called out by the same people that are now using that same narrative, and to me that just seems a little weird because it is a weak narrative. And I'm not saying that you guys are NPOs. I'm not saying you guys are IQ or NPO because NPO's less time. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there's a lot of irony in what different narratives you guys are currently pushing, and it kind of seems like there's going to be a lot of egg on your face from this move, as there already is, especially from the different narratives that were pushed out earlier, like last week, the week before, about how Clock should come and hit you, and now you guys are trying to do a block to block MDP between the two most powerful blocks to defend yourself. It just seems bizarre.
Just because it's dead air, I'm going to circle back for a second because I do actually want to bring up something for opinions, I guess. There's kind of been a trend, and this has nothing to do with the post, by the way. There's kind of been this trend where stuff gets leaked and people get hit for it, which is 100% reasonable. That's been the original CB since time began. But I've seen a few people kind of bring up the idea of if you get hit for trying to plan a war or trying to plan something, doesn't that kind of stifle people from planning or doing stuff? Because I feel like leaks are very common. So Backrooms was trying to find backup, you know what I mean, prior to this war for a confrontation with Clock. They got hit because that quote unquote plan leaked, quote unquote. It was really an embassy post, and I guess Clock was bored. But an embassy joke post, I should say. But I mean, what do you guys think about that? Should we I don't really know how to, if somebody leaked a plan of hey, I'm hitting you, I'd obviously be okay, let me try to organize a preempt, but maybe there's some merit to the other side too. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think that I'm somewhat sympathetic to backrooms when they say that we're just trying to do something and have fun, and then they get caught and then hit for it. I can kind of understand why they've been unhappy about it, because I don't know. I mean, they also like your backrooms. You want to hit someone because that's your idea of fun. It doesn't make sense to do Celestial. It doesn't make sense to do Hollywood. Well, they could have hit Johnson's. They didn't have to come after Clock. And even if they want to come after Clock, they could have just suicided into us and have fun that way.
To be fair, they tried to go after Johnson's.
I mean,
But the freedom and democracy scared them away.
I'm going to be honest. In my opinion, yes, they did get caught and they were hit. But then, if you look back at other wars, like other globals, maybe say like Brawlywood or like Duck Hunt, something like that, there were planning. There were definitely, some planning. Now, I wasn't there for Bollywood, so I don't know. Did you guys have some backroom planning before you hit Rose? But then I wouldn't say like if there is a leak, then people hitting them. That's now like we're gonna stop all other people planning. What I'm saying is you can still plan, and I'm pretty sure it wouldn't really like stop anyone from doing anything new.
I guess maybe a more logical thought would be like keep better OPSEC. I don't know if that's just realistic. Our community's so small. Like realistically, I mean, like we have as many people playing PNW as I had in my high school. Like, it's not a huge game. So, like, I just feel like people learn about stuff so fucking quick. But I don't know. I mean, like, you can't win for losing. It kind of feels like because if you plan and get caught with your pants down, you know what I mean. It's pretty much done, as proven by. It took Clock like what 2.5 days to basically zero out backrooms, maybe less. So I don't know.
How does that word even? How does that weed even travel?
How does
I
that
never
what?
understood that. I never understood how people figured that stuff out. Found that stuff out.
Basically,
There's
what
one of the
happens
public
is like
channels. It's annoying.
it's like I'm friends with Kev, and I tell Kev something, and Kev's friends with Decagon, so Kev tells Decagon something, but Decagon's friends with Killsbob, so now he's gonna tell Killsbob that something.
Yeah, it's
So it's
really
like
annoying how you guys have friends.
Yeah, it's like a game of telephone, I guess.
This out. I gotta ask. I gotta ask Kev something though. He said that Backrooms is going after the Johnsons. When was this? Is this something I don't know about?
Maybe. I mean, it's out there in public, so I feel fine in saying it.
Ah.
So yeah, it's in different public FA settings, so you'd feel fine about it. Yeah, I got a message from George. George also messaged a few other people saying that they were going to hit us in a few days, and so that we better mill up. And so that was
which came the night before the Blitz, didn't it?
The morning of the Blitz, actually.
That's wild.
I heard a rumor that we were actually planning on hitting someone else, and I never heard who or anything like that. But that is wild that got leaked too. Like, I have no idea how more
server didn't get leaked. That was a strategic move by Backroom to tell us that they were hitting us to try and have it be a gentleman's agreement, unquote, so that way they could use their milled up whatever. They're basically doing what Clock was doing, but with the Johnsons. They're just doing it one peg down. So they want to use their military and be involved in a war so that they are safe from a different hit or being involved in a different war is how I took it. Maybe, again, this is just my own opinion on it. I could be wrong, whatever. But and so then they gave us a heads up to try and save face on hitting a, quote, lesser block by giving us a heads up to make it a gentleman's agreement, which I can respect. I thought that was a good move. I mean, if they're going to hit us, at least do it that way. I thought that was neat. Yeah, go from there.
Can somebody unserver mute Morph?
We're trying. It's not letting us for some reason. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah. It looks like server
I might,
mute.
It looks
like server mute.
If I have to, I'll give him like a moderator role. I'll give him Thalmor. Okay, he's gonna server leave.
I
Okay.
think you should get more server
kills.
admin.
Kills.
I got
Made
that
that with
invite.
Okay, or Zitkin, that's fine. No, I want Morph to come on. I appreciate him coming on.
Wait. Are we really not going to talk about that Zig is an admin on every major community server? That's too much power for one man to wield.
I am absolutely not.
Zig is
okay.
100% a
I think
conspiracy.
I am absolutely not. But okay.
Kiwi, Zig is not a dirty politician. He is a clean, brave, and beautiful community organizer. He doesn't debase himself with politics. Probably why he gets admin in every single server.
I don't get admin in any server except for this one.
Prefontaine mad as hell that he doesn't get admin, despite being in the admin alliance. Seath and cope, boys.
There we go.
I'm free. Hello.
Morph, why didn't you make this announcement in VGM and drive the traffic in VGM? That's my beef with you.
Well, you see, I had a 10-minute window where I was going from one meeting to another meeting to post it. So I didn't even get a chance to tell my prots before it blew up. It was fun time. Fun timing. But it got done. It got posted. So then my phone just blew up for an hour during a meeting. Fun times. So anything happened today? I don't really know what happened.
Nah, just same old with the same kind of alliances. So,
Yeah, not much.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Nothing noteworthy happened.
nah.
Well, what'd the duck say?
And he said to the man, hey.
Props should know some things, but not everything. So.
Apologies for the day. I had to get up and go do something. So, Morph, the speakers here kind of split. You have James and Roberts and I think Khan, and they're like, yeah, this treaty is fucking awesome. And then you have me and Decagon and Kev, and they're like, no, it's cringe. Okay, sorry, Can.
I'm Aurora.
Sorry.
Clock.
Okay. That is right.
Just made me a traitor.
Welcome to Hollywood, Can. It's nice to have
Thank you very much.
So, Morph, explain why this came to be in your own words.
See. Well, so obviously, Flock hits back rooms. I'm assuming at this point the expectation is that everyone would love us to hit Celestial. They want a Hollywood Celestial showdown, which is fair. I understand that. We are the two top, quote unquote top size big upper tier spheres. But at this point in time, we don't really have a reason that we want to hit Celestial. They don't really want to have us. They don't want to hit us, which is fair. At the end of the day, we're going to fight the war, or any war, when we want to fight it, not when we get backed into a corner. So we want to demill. We want to go demill. But we understand that demilling at a point where there are spheres that are going to be fully milled is opening yourself up to getting hit. Clock has proven in their past, their last war that they fought, they chained from one war into another. They hit a weaker sphere to hit a sphere that was more of a challenge. So they would have less infra, they could do more down declares, they could shred. That's what they're doing. We don't want to stay at full mill for an extra, who knows how long this war is going to last. So we decide that we're going to demill together. We don't want to get chained. They don't want to get chained because at this point, the chain doesn't do us any good. You guys would be hitting up, the clock would hit us with no fun infra to destroy, which is really the best part of war is, searching for those 3,000 infra nations. But we just decided that we're going to demill together.
You can never break the chain, as a great artist once said.
But I like breaking the chain, right? And yes, we could have demilled without that post. We could have demilled without the post, correct. But we wanted to demill publicly, and we want it to be very clear that we don't like the chain.
So, real quick.
We don't want the chain, so now we are just not encouraging the chain. If people don't want to hit us, great.
Hey,
Nothing happens. This treaty doesn't exist unless we are hit by someone chaining in from another war. If they had plans to hit us and chain, well, then this treaty does, come into effect. But there you go.
I mean, every MDP doesn't come into effect unless someone gets hit. But so it's just a normal MDP, is what you're saying. But anyway, Morph. My question, I guess, I have for you is: there was a war that TKR was a part of not all that long ago, where the same narrative was used against them because they were hit by Ketog when they were in Chaos. I know this because I was allied to TKR.
Sure. I was not around at this point. So yes.
Okay, not that long ago.
Well, anyway, in human years. So anyway, they were hit by Ketog, right? And then after getting hit by Ketog and Chaos then hit BK and a few others to kick off the dial-up war, right? And there's a narrative put out there saying that it was a fake war, it was a BS war, and to then, as you call it, chain into BK and et cetera, some BS and blah, blah, blah. TKR argued against that narrative at that point, which I believe justifiably so and understandably so, because it's in my opinion, a very terrible narrative. It's pretty garbage. And even more so when they're coming from a place of authority, right? Since the idea was that the people that they were attacking were actually still linked with NPO, et cetera, blah, 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 in that situation. Likewise, I'm not saying that you guys are the same thing as them, but it is the same argument. So isn't it a little bit hypocritical to say that now you're using that same kind of argument against your opponent, where your opponents in the past used against you and you defended against? Because both you and I almost called it Quack, both Celestial and Hollywood are the two largest spheres, even if Clock is fully milled. Especially, they just lost Hand of Fate too, so now you guys are it's not even a contest at this point. It would be a question mark if they blitzed earlier when they had Hand of Fate, but now without Hand of Fate, there's no winning. So, isn't it a little hypocritical for you to have that stance when that stance was used against TKR and TKR defended so heavily against?
Here's a question. Just because I genuinely was not around for this. Who was the leadership of TKR at that point?
Adrian.
Okay. And who is the leadership of TKR now?
Weisel.
Sure, yeah. So,
well, actually, partially also Adrian. If you ask for the leadership for back then, it'd be like Lordship, it'd be Creepy Lurker, it'd be Adrian, it'd be a few other people. Now, Adrian's in the background still, but still like Lordship, Creepy Lurker, Adrian.
Sure, yeah, I'm just saying.
And Weisel and those guys now.
It's not hypocritical because I don't think Weisel or myself have ever taken that stance. I don't personally believe that individual alliances are married to permanent stances. I think people are. It's hypocritical if I was 6 months ago to say one thing and then to completely turn around and do the other. Okay. Sure. But when I'm not even in the game, and Weisel, I don't think was in the game at that point, is it really hypocritical to
Fair. Let's say that's the case. Isn't it then hypocritical for you, like a week or two ago, to say, "Come on, clock, hit us, hit us. What are you afraid of? You're big, beautiful, whatever. Come hit us." And then now you sign a treaty against it.
Again, at that point in time,
people change, right?
I'm saying at that point in time, the circumstances were different as well. At that point in time, when I was talking about that, Hand of Fate was still in Clock. Hand of Fate was there. Clock was. We were very open to that because Clock it was fully infrared. It would have been a fun war because at that point there was all kinds of fun infra to destroy. This idea of chaining, though, means that someone gets to have no fun infra to destroy. They're already perfectly ready for down declares, so they can shrink out of our effective range, which we understand, yes, our upper tier is whales, so they're getting further out of our effective range. Chains are always going to benefit the aggressor and not the defender. That's just the facts.
Right, so instead of having a major disadvantage, now they have a slight disadvantage against you guys. So I get that.
Yeah,
however,
what good does this war do us at that point? Like, what good does that war? What good does that war do us? Honestly, like, Clock hits us, we win, but now we've lost our infra for no purpose. And
what good does any war do you? A war doesn't do you any good regardless.
A war should be fun, and it should have strategic purposes.
So again, going back on this, if when you're not the aggressor, there's never a strategic. So then just have an MDP with them forever, then, because it's never going to be a strategic.
That's not a strategic benefit for us, but in this particular place, it is.
It's the same. It's the same situation. It's not. You need a point. Let me respond. No. I feel like we're watching like CNN or something. No, let me respond. No. Respond. No.
At the end of the day,
nope. Let me respond. You made a point there. So you were saying that it's not a strategic advantage for you to keep that MVP. Why? It's the same thing, because if you're getting attacked, it's not a strategic advantage, and this prevents you from being attacked. Well, an MDP going forward also prevents you from from being attacked. But going back to
we don't want to be permanently MDP to Celestial.
That's great. Words are great.
This is a very fun. This is a very specific strategic benefit in a specific situation. At the end of the day, as the leadership of Hollywood, and as the leadership of Celestial, as leadership of Clock, you're going to do what is ultimately best for your alliance and for your community. Like, I get Clock is very upset because now they can't chain into us like they were probably hoping to do.
I want to make that clear. We're not upset. So
but
yeah, we're not upset.
At the end of the day, I'm going to do, and Weisel and I are going to do what's best for our alliance. And doing what's best for our alliance here is to strategically put ourselves in a spot where we can continue to head towards our strategic goals.
Okay, so can I respond to that?
Sure.
So your strategic goals, everyone has their own strategic goals. Every alliance ever had. When Quack was a thing, there's a
and every alliance should try to reach their strategic.
I let you talk, right?
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. So every alliance has a strategic goal. For you to have more treaties and more treaties, that's still going to be a benefit for your alliance, because then it's safer and blah blah blah. Like, everyone can have their own strategic goals, but it's also fair for the rest of the game to then criticize said strategy to accomplish said goals. And that's what I think is happening here, is your strategic goals are terrible or how it's the strategy to complete said goals are not great. And I think there's a lot of missteps with this. And I think that's where a lot of the complaints come from. So going full circle here, and because some people compare this to NPOs last time, and there's people getting upset, which I get, because there's more to NPOs last time, such as the cheating, etc. And I don't think that's fair. No one should compare you guys to that. However, there is merit in the narrative of some of the different arguments that are being made then versus now, right? And so what I'll say is, you said, hey, I wasn't around there. People change, ideas change, etc. Fine. But if people are going to make the same points that TKR made back then, I think that should also be fine, because it's still the same issue at the end of the day, and the same negatives are still true that TKR pointed out back then, and the holes in the arguments are still the same. So it's just ironic, I guess, that TKR was making that argument earlier, and now they're making the opposite argument. And I think people can point that out, and I think that's understandable to point that out. And so just going full circle there, and then it's also understandable for people to poke holes in your quote strategy for your benefits, because all in all, it might hurt other communities, those strategies that you implement. And so I think that's why people are kind of upset.
How is a temporary treaty specifically against chaining hurting other communities unless those communities were planning on chaining?
Oh, but you can make that argument with anything. That's a straw man. It doesn't matter. Like it's the base. Sure, it is. It's the basis of even doing that. It's the basis of the two largest blocks doing an MDP is the problem. It's not why or whatever. It doesn't matter because it's the threat, quote unquote, the threat that they're facing is still less than where they're at altogether easily. And so the fact that you guys are willing to do that, what else are you willing to do? So that's, I think, the concern there. And again, it's your strategy to meet your goals or whatever, however you worded it. I think that's the issue. It's not what your goals are necessarily, unless it's more malicious than that, which I don't think anyone's accusing you guys of. I think this is a misstep. And I think based on conversations that people have had even in your own block and the criticisms from people in your own block have had, I think that's what would be the best way to characterize this as a misstep by the two block.
I don't see what you are trying to get across here, but okay. Thanks.
I'm saying you made a mistake.
Sure, you are entitled to that opinion. Like, you guys, everyone can sit here and say they disagree with our opinion. It's a free game, right? Like, we're out here doing what we think is good for us. We know that it's not going to make everybody happy. Our move, we wouldn't be fighting Celestial if we wanted to make everybody happy, but they didn't see the benefit to that at this time. We're not saying we won't fight Celestial in the future. Celestial might hit us, we might hit them, who knows? Because this treaty is not a permanent thing. I fully expect probably the next war that we fight or Celestial fight is going to be against each other eventually, because it doesn't make sense for us not to fight each other. It just doesn't make sense for us to fight them now. That's why we're doing this. We didn't want to fight them now. They didn't want to fight us now. There was no clear reason to, except boredom, which that's a fair CB. But
I mean, I think it's the same reason when you were around for this, the same reason we hit Rose when we formed Hollywood, right? People get into a bigger position where they're controlling a lot of the different aspects of the game or whatever the case may be. So you were around for this. So I guess to spin this back into an experience that you were a part of.
Sure.
So same kind of thing. Maybe that's their reason to hit you, because that was Hollywood's reason to hit Rose, right? Is because they had their fingers dug into Oasis and Mystery Inc. On top of that, they were the largest alliance in the game by far, and they had been at peace for a long time. So maybe that's the reason, because that's something that the standard had been set before. So for you to say there's no reason and blah blah blah, like I just think it's sort of like your colleague Mr. Wilson. Your argument is collapsing on itself, and you're kind of twisting yourself.
No, we fought the last global against TS. It's not like we or TS have been sitting out on the sideline for 6 months. Like, the last global war was Hollywood fighting backrooms.
According to the wiki, the last great war was Johnson's versus Haunted Mansion. So.
Oh yeah, that's a great war right there.
Yeah, that's a fantastic war.
Fantastic. But like, we just fought like half of Celestial 3 months ago. It's not that we don't ever want to fight them again. We just don't want to fight them today. But we also don't want to demill and save money and then get chained by a sphere that will be hitting us demilled and already be able to down declare on top of our demill. Like, that's just dumb. And sure, we could sit at full mill for a month, but why? Why?
Then don't.
Or it's not two spheres to defend, it's two spheres to deter. It's a deterrent.
Why would two spheres sign MDP deter a low infra block anyway? Like, if we have low infra, what would it matter to begin with?
If we're demilled, like if we've dropped a peacetime MMR and you guys are coming in full mill with no infra, those down decks on a we've all seen
what does having Rose matter then?
we've all seen how effective hitting a demilled sphere is. There's
Yeah,
no
so what
reason
does
that
having
Hollywood
Rose
should
really
have
matter?
rolled Guns N' Roses Rose so good in Guns N' Roses, except that Rose was already demilled. Like, that was a war that Hollywood probably should have lost, just pure numbers wise.
So
But
what would having Rose and Hollywood partially demilled, like, what would it matter if we're low infra? Like, why would having
infra
more
doesn't
high
affect
infra
your
people matter
ability
partially
to
demilled?
fight. In fact, it improves your ability to fight. Not having infra improves your ability to fight.
Yeah, I'm saying,
What are you
like,
trying to say?
what does the treaty benefit you just by having more higher infra people?
Because
AKA
now,
Rose.
if you want to fight us, cool.
We get more stats. Yay.
Sure, yeah, go for it.
So, like, I don't see the benefit. Like, it's
It's a deterrent to not. We don't want to fight. We would like to fight later on our terms when we're ready against whoever we want to fight.
like you sign a treaty with a super high infra block out of, I guess, concern of like infra shedding and infra loss. But like, if we're already losing infra, I don't see the benefit of bringing more high infra people into it.
It's
Like,
it's
that's
not
not a
that we
deterrent at all. I can
hit
assure you,
us.
it's not a
We
deterrent.
don't want you to hit us. So
I think this conversation is maybe running its course.
I think I have a more interesting question. Would be so this type of treaty, like a temporary MDP between you guys, won't happen again, right? Is that what you're telling us, Morph?
I don't see the need to unless I don't know.
Okay, so let me give an example then. Say in 6 months, clock arms up again, and we hit Johnson's this time. So are you planning to sign another MDP with, Celestial?
Well, that's going to be an L by clock because Johnson's strong.
Of course, we would lose. But would you be signing it because you now say that clock might change in every single war? So is that what you're telling me? So whenever clock arms up and hits someone else that is not you two,
Correct.
you two are going to start signing MDPs forever, and
Yes.
never fight.
Because chaining is bad.
Yeah,
And
because
then
training is bad. That's your narrative right now, and I'm asking that.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good
So
argument.
you don't plan to sign MDP next time we arm up? Is
What's different from next time to this time?
I don't know. What's next time?
And
He doesn't know what to say. You got him. You got him.
I just don't know.
No,
what the future holds,
because
man.
no.
it's the same exact situation. I'm just hitting Johnson.
No, that's a solid argument, Con. Con.
God, yeah, that's good. Con's good.
Mm-hmm. I mean, basically what it is you guys want additional money to keep beefing up your high tiers to further separate yourself from the rest of the game, to further your dominance. And so you guys are both doing this. You both want this to happen. So you sign a treaty so that way you don't take an economic hit. That's the benefit that you're talking about. However, it's not super healthy. Not only to further increase. I mean, you guys can do whatever you want as your alliance as far as pumping money into whatever. But the fact is it's not good for the other spheres, clearly, on that aspect. But the way it was done, just less than honorable. And it sets a bad precedence, as Khan just pointed out.
And also, with this kind of precedent, so next time if you two go to war, so should we sign with backroom an MDP thing in case you guys change? Is this how we're going to go now? So 2 spheres hit each other, the rest 4 need to sign an MDP saying we don't want to get hit after some war.
Or God forbid they sign an MDP with the Johnsons. Oh, rest in peace game. Oofta.
Yeah, signing an MDP with another high infra block, I don't see how that's a deterrent.
Dude, I think that argument won. I don't know how he can respond to that. That was a good call, Con.
So are we done here?
I think so. Drop the mic, Con. That was a fantastic point.
Like, I'm just looking into the future,
Yeah.
I see this might happening again, because now that you've set the precedence, and this isn't good for the game. Now, I don't know about maybe your community is great, but the game itself, this doesn't help the game at all. Seeing as how you're number 2 or 3, the top alliance right here, this is a bad precedence to set for the whole future of the game
Oh.
and how we do politics.
Roberts, I saw that, buddy. And this, I think the chat's recorded too, so it's going to be on the video, so I'm going to point it out. Sorry. But he said, technically, T.I. set the precedent. Oh,
Yeah,
God.
I guess, yeah, you can say T.I. did
That's a
set
good
the
point.
precedent. Started. But the thing with T.I. is we hit them. You know, we told them not to. The community came together to tell them no. And now I don't know what to do. You have half the community. This is 50-50 right now.
Morph, buddy. Morph.
Go, Roberts, you
Oh,
sly
wait.
dog.
Morph is talking. Morph is talking. Oh, Morph. He was talking for a second.
I didn't hear him if he was.
Yeah. Oh, there he goes. Kind of. Morph, we can't hear you. His little green thing is flipping. Maybe he's trying to talk, but he can't. I got you, Morph. I'll help you. Some audio problems. Might be. It won't be the first time. Morph is notorious for having audio problems.
I think he said something about being in between meetings or something as well.
As usual, our FA head is oppressed and muted on Thalmor Radio. Once again, unable to speak his opinion.
Motherfucker, there's not even the symbol.
Truly server muted.
This time.
Thalmor doesn't want the truth to come out. So, here we are.
Yeah, Morph had the answer, but he can't. Thalmor's not allowing him to say it. Oppression. What Thalmoria has become is a disappointment.
Honestly, ever since the feds raided this place, I think Thalmor is now a snitch working for the feds.
Look. My fucking attorney sat me down, said you can either agree to this misdemeanor and become a government witness, or we go to trial with 2 misdemeanors and 2 felonies. What would you pick? I'm sorry, I have a family. I had to do what's best for the family. You can't hold that against me.
Tell it to the barrel at the bottom of Lake Mead. Which is a niche reference. I don't know if you guys have seen those news stories. It's pretty cool. They're finding like mafia dumped bodies because Lake Mead's drying up out in Las Vegas.
Oh, I saw something about that. There was a dude out in Vegas who did mafia tours. Like, he would travel around and like, oh, this is where this guy got strangled in the pool and stuff. I always thought that was interesting.
Hey, Cobb.
Hi.
Before Cobb talks, I'm gonna jump out. I appreciate you guys inviting me.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Decagon.
My pleasure.
Thank
Talk to you guys later.
Cobb, what did you want to add to the discussion? Because I think we're wrapping up.
Oh, I was just saying hi. This was an interesting discussion to listen to.
Well, hello to
Oh, I'm
you
sorry.
too.
Is politeness frowned upon suddenly?
Only when it comes to you, Roberts. It's only bad to be polite to you.
That's fair. To be fair, I do like it when you're mean to me, so it works out both ways.
I didn't know for how much longer we were
I think
going,
that's it.
so that's why I joined.
No, I think we're pretty much done. I think we've cycled through all the topics pretty well. Well, I'll do it. Does anybody here in chat have any final comments? Because if not, then I think we're going to close out the show.
Play the outro.
Yep. All right. Kills Bob, play the theme and the end. Okay.
Thalmor Radio. Ooh. Thalmor Radio. Yeah. He's coming at you from the top. Oh no, no, he won't stop. Thalmor Radio. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Thalmor Radio.
Thalmor Radio.
Good night.
One last plug for the Eco server. Join it.
Shameless plug.